Hello guys and welcome back to a brand new video on my channel. In today's video I wanted to do 10 things we've learned from Chelsea's opening 10 games of the season. 10 official matches have been played. It's been a season with massive and high expectations. So what have we learned, honestly guys? What have we learned from Frank Lampard's team in these opening 10 fixtures? Because, well, there's been a lot of ups, a lot of downs for sure, and actually quite a lot to talk about, so I thought it'd be an interesting video. Let's get it going, let's get some topics talking about, and please let me know all your thoughts as the video goes on in the comments down below. Let's get some discussion going down there, and let's enjoy this video. And I don't want to waste any more of you guys' time. Let's get in with number one, and I wanted to talk about the defence full stop, because I think that's something that when you talk about Chelsea, that's what everyone immediately goes to. Is the defence good enough? What's going on there? And well, it's interesting because if we look at the first few games, I think it's fair to say the defence had absolutely zero improvement from last season. It looked like the same nonsense, the same sort of players in it, the same sort of strategy, and I'll get onto a few more things in more specific later, but the defence in the opening games until the last three really has been nothing short of shocking. Our defensive record is terrible in all truth. You look at our away record in the Premier League, I think we've conceded as many goals as Norwich, who got relegated last season, so our defence looks shaky, it really does. However, we've improved it of late, and it's looking like, when I get onto the second points and the third points, the individuals and the defensive strategy has improved. But number one point, what we've learned is that the defence, there are still issues there. There certainly are. Chelsea have an issue at the back, but it is being resolved. It's another one of those things that need patience. So let's see just how far our defence can take us this season, because in my opinion, it is improving, and with 10 games in, that's a really good sign. And now I want to move on to that defensive strategy, if you like, because I think a lot of people talk about, well, why is Chelsea's defence so bad? And I'll get onto individuals later, but I want to talk about defensive strategy because I think Lampard maybe has been criticised, probably by me also, in terms of tactics, and in terms of how he sets us up tactically. Yes, our personnel isn't the best at the back. When we're starting with Kepa, Christensen, even Emerson at the back, you know, it's not very assured. It really isn't at all. But I think if you look at the way we set up tactically, it doesn't help us. You know, I think there's a lack of maybe pressing in the midfield. The defence doesn't seem set up nowhere near enough. You look at set pieces, we're an absolute nightmare from them for most games. So I think if you look at that, defensive strategy is something that definitely needed improving. And hey, this was an interesting video because I think the first 7 games, there's a lot of negatives about Chelsea, but the last 3 games, there's been some real positives, and especially in this defensive section that I have to talk about if we're talking about a Chelsea video, guys. The defence, it looks weak. The strategy is questionable, in my opinion, from Lampard. It's something we need to look at, not just the individuals, but I think we are improving it now. Lampard clearly is doing work on that, and for me, that's absolutely huge, because I was just wondering, Lampard, when are you actually going to sit down on the training ground and say, guys, we're changing our defensive strategy, we're making sure we improve things for the future? I was waiting for that, and I think now we are finally seeing that. And number 3 is actually going to be all about individuals, because it's spoken about so much at Chelsea, where people say, oh, if he was out and he was in, we would have done a lot better. And like I said earlier, I think strategy is important. I'll get onto tactics also. I think Lampard as a whole, he can't just rely on saying, if he was playing, that would have been better. If he was playing, that would have been better. And he doesn't say that, but I'm saying that some fans say that. You know, they give Lampard an excuse by saying, oh, it's because Kepa was in goal, or it's because Christensen was playing, for example. And actually, I think individuals is a fair point. I really do. You look at our last 3 games with Mendy in goal, with Azpilicueta and Chilwell in defence, with James there also, with Zuma, Thiago Silva even. These are the players we wanted in the start of the season. And of course, we cannot forget the goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy. He's been absolutely exquisite. So if we're looking at individuals, guys, it obviously plays a massive role. Havertz, Pulisic, Werner, Ziyech, you look at the other night against Krasnodar. When these guys are playing, the level of play from Chelsea, it just goes up a notch. And I'm talking about the defence mainly in this one. The difference between having Mendy in goal to Kepa is unbelievable. So I think individuals is a fair comment, and it's something we need to look forward to come the end of the season, as the season goes on. Now that we've got these players in our team, we're so much more of a force. You look at Thiago Silva, Mendy, Chilwell, Azpilicueta, Zuma, like I'm talking about. This is the defence we want to see. These are the sort of individuals I want to see on the team sheet. Also Reece James, because when Christensen's in there, Rudiger even Emerson and Alonso at left back, that's when Chelsea's level comes down. So individuals for me definitely plays a massive role, and I wanted to point it out. In at number 4, I'm going to talk about tactics, guys. I spoke about that a little bit earlier in terms of defensive strategy, but I think we've learnt a lot this season tactically from Lampard, and you may be thinking, what do you mean by that? Well, I think first of all, I question Lampard tactically, or I still do. I still think that maybe the fact that Mendy's come in, Thiago Silva's come in, he's now got Chilwell at left back, that's why we look better. But I think in terms of the way we set up, tactically we need to be better. I really do think that. I think that in midfield, is he getting the balance right? and just is enough work being done on the training ground to improve us. I spoke about earlier the fact that it looks like we are improving now. To be fair to Lampard, he's definitely works on the defence. You don't get clean sheets against Sevilla and Manchester United just by a click of the fingers and bringing in some individuals. He's definitely done work on that, so that's massive plaudits to Lampard and Jody Morris and all of those technical staff at Chelsea. So in terms of tactics, we look a little bit frail sometimes, and I'd say that there has been improvement, but I want to see even more as the season goes on. I don't want to see us just poor tactically. I'm looking at the West Brom game, for example. For me, there was just zero tactics in that game. It was just, let's just attack. Let's just throw players on the pitch and just go attack. For me, that can't happen. We need to see a style, a system, and I think that's been missing from Chelsea for large parts of this season. And also, in the future games, that has to be improved. It really does. Let's get our identity. We've been seeing it a lot more now, in my opinion, that the tactical side of Chelsea has improved in the previous game. So we need to see more of that in the upcoming fixtures. And in at number 5, I wanted to actually talk about our midfield. I just mentioned it there, and it does play a big role in how we set up and how we play football, because I think if you look at individuals in the midfield, people are always wondering what's the right balance. Is it a 4-2-3-1? Is it a 4-3-3? Is it even a 3-back or a 5-back, if you like, depending on how attacking and defensive you are? So I think in the midfield, it's something that sprung a lot of debates. Chelsea actively wanted to get Declan Rice in the summer. We couldn't do it. People saw him as the natural DM to sort of sit in front of the back four, and that definitely could have helped. But for me, we've got personnel in there that can help us. I still think it's a position that I would sign in the summer, because I don't think we have a certain profile of player that we need in there. But I think Chelsea have been looking for the right balance, and I don't know if we actually can find it. Jorginho and Kante pivot is our best one right now, and that's not good for me. That really isn't good. Jorginho Kovacic, people love. I'm a big fan of it also, and then I see it play and I'm like, why do I even like this? We get run over in midfield. There's not even that much creativity, so I worry about our midfield. I think that's something that has to be spoken about in terms of things we've learned. Midfield issues for Chelsea, we definitely have them, and I think something we could be seeing in the next weeks, rather, should I say, is a 4-3-3 with a DM in N'Golo Kante or Mateo Kovacic, and even Jorginho, and then also 2 number 8s. That's Havertz and Mason Mount, really. So let's see let's see if that happens. That could certainly be something to go forward with. And I bring on to the next point, number 6, formation. I spoke about that. Do we go the 5-back? I wouldn't say. I would say we only go 5-back for certain fixtures like the Sevilla game, like the Man United game. I know we didn't play back 5 against Sevilla, but just for example, in those sorts of fixtures, when you want to soak up a bit of pressure, if you like, and don't go that attacking, I think back 5, it works a lot for Chelsea. We have the personnel to do it, so that's something to look at. But I think it's always between the 4-2-3-1 and the 4-3-3, and the next weeks are going to be crucial to finding out what sort of system Lampard wants to play with for the rest of the season, because like I mentioned there, if the 4-3-3 with 2 number 8s and Mount and Havertz works, then I think we'll go with that. But if we're not defensively stable enough with just 2 number 8s and DM, then he may have to go back to a 4-2-3-1. So that's always up to debate. Let's see what works best, in terms of formation. Next up, I want to talk about our squad, because I think we went into the season looking at our team and thinking, yep, the squad depth looks really, really good. In terms of analysing it now, my worry would be this. Say Chilwell comes out. Is anyone happy to have Emerson or Alonso at left back, or does that massively compromise the result? I think it does. If Mendy's out, does Kepa or Caballero come in and massively compromise the result? I think it does. When Christensen and Rudiger come in, does it do the same thing? I think it does. You look at the midfield, if, for example, Kante and Jorginho are out, who are we going to bring in there? I'm not really sure. And you look up front also, if we don't have Pulisic, we don't have Ziyech, we don't have Havertz, Werner, are the players that are going to come in from the bench do a good enough job? And you'd think yes. You think Mount, Hudson-Odoi, Abraham. You can look in the defence and there should be some other good players there. But I just worry about our squad depth in that regard. In at number 8, I wanted to talk all about what players work with each other. And by that I mean, well, we look at the start of the season and I think everyone wanted Kante and Kovacic in DM, Ziyech on the right, Pulisic on the left, Havertz in the middle, and then also Werner down the middle also. So for me, does that actually work is what I want to talk about here, or do you need someone in there like a Mason Mount to balance things out? And we are finding that out now. I think we found out that Kante and Kovacic does not work, tick number 1. That's what I mean in terms of players who works together. You look in the defence also, maybe it's better when Azpilicueta's there, or for example Thiago Silva, we found out he's a lot better at right centre-back than left centre-back. So things like that are all sorts of things that we're finding out now in the early fixtures, and once we find that out, we can find the formation, like I said, we can find the right balance, the right tactics, and go ahead with the best formation and the best players on the pitch that actually work with each other. In at number 9, I think that one of the most important things we've learned, guys, is that this team needs patience. We are already seeing that. The team is only just gelling together. The team is very young. They've only just got together. And honestly, guys, it's all about patience for me for Chelsea this season. I'm already having to do it myself. I've seen some really frustrating results out there, but the signs are there. Once our best team, or the sort of players we want to see, I'm talking about Edouard Mendy, Thiago Silva, Kai Havertz, Ziyech on the pitch. Once those guys are on the pitch, we look like such a force, and this is just the start. These are the first weeks of this Chelsea team, so honestly, what is it going to bring when we're in full flow? Honestly, I'm excited for that. I really am, and I hope you guys are too, because that's what I would say. Have patience with this team, myself included. We will have some frustrating results. We have had some frustrating results, but it looks like we're already on the up so early on. So let's see how far we can go with this, because I think that, if we have some patience, this Chelsea team, in a few months, even in a few years, can be something ridiculously special. And number 10, it's basically in terms of targets and what have we learned in terms of how far we can go. Well, look at the Premier League. I don't think we're going to be winning it. I think top four's got to be the aim again, but I want to see us go on a good streak of games. I want to see us win some matches. Burnley on the weekend has to be a win. Sheffield United next weekend has to be a win. Newcastle the weekend after has to be a win. And then you look at the top 6 contenders. When we play the likes of Tottenham or Arsenal or United, teams like that, when we do play them, we need to see some proper Chelsea performances. We need to see some wins under our belt. We got some of them last season. I want to see more of that once those games do start to come around, which they are going to be coming around soon. We've already had a few, and I'm looking at the Man United and Liverpool games. We didn't score in either of them, so let's see if we can actually properly improve in the coming fixtures. You look at the Cups, Carabao Cup, we're already out of that. Massive shame. That was disappointing, and that really highlighted just how poor we were tactically. The squad depth also, a few players came in, didn't do well enough. You look at also individual mistakes, there were certainly some ones in there. The defence was shocking again that day. So yeah, a few things there that we learned in that game for sure. But in terms of the FA Cup, guys, I'm also wondering, can we go and win it this year? I know we were finalists last year, and it is a competition that we certainly do like. So the FA Cup is something that I definitely want to win. I think let's see how far we can go in that. And then the Champions League, guys. Well, first of all, definitely get out of the group. And second of all, once we're in the round of 16, or if we get there, we have to compete in it. Let's see. I know it all depends on draw. If you get Bayern Munich, there's not really much you can do. But I'm expecting us not to be drawn against Bayern, fingers crossed. And let's see if we can actually compete in that competition. But that's what this video is going to come to an end, guys. Please do drop a like and also leave all your thoughts in the comments down below, because I wanted to try and just put on paper here. I've got it up on a notepad of some things we've learned from Chelsea so far this season. Look at the defence, the strategy, the tactics, individuals, how important are they? The midfield issues that people are talking about a lot right now on Twitter. You also look at the formation, what sort of formation we should play with. I also want to talk about squad depth for Chelsea. Is it good enough? What players work with each other, also in terms of link-ups, what thing has the right balance, and then also just to tell you guys to have some patience, because I think that's something I've learned from the last few games, is that this Chelsea team can be special. We just got to be patient with it. So that's what this video is going to come to an end. Like I said, drop a like, leave your thoughts, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Goodbye.